Welcome to Crime Files TikTok Compilations, the vault of real horror, where murder isn't fiction and the footage never lies. In this collection, we unearth chilling clips, haunting case files, and real-life moments that expose the darkest corners of the human mind. What you're about to witness is raw, unsettling, and unforgettable. These aren't stories, they're warnings.
See, this is the path that we go down. There's no path going there, so we have to go down here. Hi.
Be this one little clip of him?
Yeah, I think what Bob was indicating, as Libby is holding the phone, she's motioning with that hand. And so she pulls the hand down and you see the ground, and then she pulls her hand back up as she's talking and motioning. And that's when you get to see the man and Abby a little bit more. But it's out of the 43 seconds, he's not in frame for very many of those seconds, and some of the seconds that he would possibly be visible, Abby is between him and Libby, and so blocking the view of the man. So it's really, there's not a lot of information in that video that's particularly helpful about what exactly happened.
Right. We get to see his clothing, though, right? We get to see his clothing, but for the jury that's looking at this, they don't get what we have, right? Which is the looped close-up image of this person. They get the whole thing.
Right. They get to see it once.
And that's it, Bob? Once? They see it once and that's it?
Once. And then when the reconstruction guy or the enhancement guy came on, they played it a second time. So that's all we saw it. And what I'm suggesting is, and I'm curious as to what Barb's opinion is on this, and I think we probably talked about it outside of court, how does he make up that distance in that short period of time under the conditions that I talked about initially, which is he has to traverse that bridge.
Wait a minute. Wait, are you saying that it may not be the bridge man whose voice that is?
You cannot see his mouth move.
Wow. So is it possible someone that's on the other side of that bridge? And Barbara, what's on the other side of the bridge? Who would be there? Who would have access to that?
Private property. That's where the private property begins. There are some paths.
Whose private property
down.
is that?
It's the Weber property. And I believe at the time it was owned by his parents, but Brad Weber was living there. I believe now it is his property, but it is private property on the south end of that bridge.
Interesting. And so this video that we've been waiting for, like what was released is much clearer than what was shown. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that is not what the video looks like. That image, that has been enhanced, and they've zoomed in on it. They've taken those frames of the video and they've enhanced it. So they got as close up, they got it as unblurry as they could get it. And that's what we've been seeing for all these years. It's not what the video looks like at all. I mean, that guy is off in the distance.
And what you're saying
people have
is,
asked, why isn't there more video? And
right.
There's no more of him to show. That's it.
And again, the distance and the time, significant here, because from what you saw, Bob, when you see the whole video, which again has not been made public, the amount of time that it might take for the bridge guy to be close enough to be heard on the video may or may not make sense to you, Bob? Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't. I just don't see, and again, it's hard to gauge distance, right? Because you're looking at him, and he's definitely in the background. Like, Barb, what do you think? Like, what would you estimate how far when we first see him? Because I'm telling you, I did not see him at all the first time that they played the video. The second time, I was
I'm
diligently
terrible with
only
distance,
looking.
but when that video begins, he is definitely some distance behind Abby. She seems to be sort of trying to hurry. She's looking down, trying to hurry off of the bridge to get to where Libby is, who's already off the bridge on that south side. But by the time the video is about to end, he definitely seems to have made up that distance. Either he's very familiar with that bridge and had no problem speeding up, or I suppose you could argue that there's another voice from somewhere else, because you don't see that man speaking those words on that video.
This is so different than what I expected. So different than what I expected. Our guests are staying with us. Still to come. Did eyewitnesses see Richard Allen?
Richard Allen, you child murderer! Why did you do it?
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession, 48 Hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV.
What happened that night? Are you not prepared to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer, a Court TV original series. Sunday, 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable.
That's after the arrest of Richard Allen. And by the way, some people believe there are potentially others involved, and there's some that believe Richard Allen's not involved. And then, of course, prosecutors believe he acted alone. So, there were other people there that day. Other people who saw things, which brings me to my next question, which is about the eyewitnesses. Did eyewitnesses see Richard Allen? You know that moment in a courtroom, right? Do you see the person you saw walking across the bridge in court today? Yes, I see them right there, sitting at counsel table, wearing the what is this, purple shirt. Still with me, Barbara McDonald and Bob Mata. Let's go through some of these witnesses. First one, this is a witness who saw someone before the murders.
The other interesting thing about these sticks, they did not collect them when they collected evidence from the crime scene.
Whoa, 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 slow down. Sticks are placed on the bodies of the 2 victims here, and they're not collected as evidence?
They were not collected as evidence until several weeks later.
I learned that Abby and Libby had been found when I saw everybody in the hallway just crying. No one said the exact words to me. And we just sat on our phones and watched the news headlines start to come in.
We have found 2 bodies about a mile east of town. We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play.
They didn't identify them as Abby and Libby, but everyone knew.
I knew it was them. I wasn't in a position to hear it. I just was truly traumatized. Like, my body was just in fight or flight. I didn't know exactly what all foul play entailed, but when my mom started to tell me someone hurt them and someone wanted them to die, for me, it was so difficult to process. News stations started showing up to my house. I couldn't enter my home without someone asking, "What happened? Do you have any information?" And I'm just trying to process the fact that my 2 best friends were just murdered, let alone trying to balance a media presence at 13. Like, it was so terrifying.
Basically, we have identified the bodies of the 2 females that were found out yesterday. Abigail J. Williams, 13, of the Delphi area, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, 14, of the Delphi area. Family has been notified. This is considered a double homicide investigation.
Yeah, I had known that Abby and Libby were active on some kind of sites where you could meet new people, and part of me thought that that might have something to do with it, that maybe they had met someone online.
We have nobody in custody at this time.
The next day, police released a picture of a man on the bridge. He appears to be wearing a blue coat, blue pants, and boots. They don't say where this picture comes from, but they do say that they are talk to him.
When I first saw that image, I just wanted to solve it immediately. I was flipping through every single person I'd ever seen in my entire life who might walk like that, who might appear like that. And the first thing that I noticed when I saw it was the pockets, that they were filled, that there was something along like the waist area. And to me, I just immediately was like, that's either a knife set or a gun.
At this point, no one knows where this picture had come from, so speculation was rampant. Was he caught on a trail cam? And if they had that image, what else did they have? This picture had actually come from Libby's phone. She had captured that image. Not only that, she had also captured his voice.
And for the first time, we hear that this man is the prime suspect in the murders of Abby and Libby.
Finding out that Libby had recorded him, I felt proud of her.
And then in July of 2017, police release a composite sketch. They say that the man they're looking for in the sketch is between 5'6" and 5'10", weighs between 180 and 220 pounds, and has reddish brown hair.
I couldn't think of anyone that I thought looked like that, but then again, I thought of everyone who looked like that. Like, he just looked like every other guy I'd ever seen in this town. I couldn't place anyone specific to the sketch, and that was frustrating.
Who was this person? Was he a trucker passing through? Could he have been a drifter? Was he a serial killer? This is really when the people pay attention and start to look around.
I've done numerous interviews with police officers, FBI, investigators, and they all, I mean, when you get asked, do you have any answers, you just want to have an answer, but I didn't.
And then 2 years into the investigation, a whole new direction.
To the killer, who may be in this room.
We believe you are hiding in plain sight. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
A couple of new things come out of that presser. They add one word to the audio from Libby's phone.
They also released this much younger sketch saying that he could be as young as 16 at the time of the murders.
I thought to myself, oh my gosh, they have no clue who did it. Like, if they don't know, if the age range is from 16 to 40, like, I was like, do they know anything about him? Do they have anything at all? I was hopeless. And that to me was my worst fear, that they wouldn't end up arresting anyone and they would just become another case.
Despite both of those faces, despite that video, despite that audio, despite the fact that Ingley lives here, he's probably a neighbor of yours, no arrests are made.
I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Abby and Libby themselves. Libby for recording the defendant as he walked across the bridge, having the wherewithal to pull out her phone and record that individual, having the wherewithal to know that something wasn't right. Arguably the biggest piece of evidence that we had, that recording of their killer. And then to Abby for hiding the phone from the killer so that he couldn't take it with him. Hiding the phone so that law enforcement could find it and get that piece of evidence that Libby had collected.
Prosecutor Nick McClellan spoke to reporters after the guilty verdict of Richard Allen. He credited Libby and Abby for helping to solve their own case. Libby and Abby were just 14 and 13 years old, and yet they had a gut instinct that something wasn't right. Having no place to go with steep embankments on each side of them, Libby took out her phone and started to record without letting the man know. Libby had always told her family that she wanted to solve crimes when she grew up, never knowing it would be her own and her best friends that she would end up solving.
A shocking new twist in the hunt for the killer of those two Indiana teenagers 5 years ago. It centers on this man, Ron Logan, who owned the property where the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found. An FBI search warrant has just been released, revealing they searched Logan's home. Logan has been the focus of attention from day one. Inside Edition's Stephen Fabian interviewed him in 2017.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
He claimed he had an alibi, buying tropical fish 20 miles away.
I was not home during the time that all this was happening. I was in Lafayette. Yeah. And I didn't get home till approximately 6:30 in the evening, and then the neighbors stopped to ask for permission to look back here for the girls.
Liberty German shot this chilling image of the killer approaching the girls on a hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't recognize the voice at all.
Stephen asked Ron Logan to repeat those same chilling words. Listen.
Down the hill.
The newly revealed search warrant says Ron Logan's voice was not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. And that image of the suspect, the warrant declares Logan's physical build is consistent with the suspect. Logan had his own take.
The picture is of such poor quality, it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
We spoke to Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee of the true crime podcast Murder Sheet. They obtained the warrant.
I'm not necessarily convinced that Ron Logan was involved in this. Some of the circumstantial evidence against him is intriguing and should absolutely be looked at.
Logan is now dead, reportedly of COVID. He was never charged in the case, and it is unclear whether he was ever considered an official suspect.
As news reporter David McAnally went back to the scene of the crime today, where neighbors still don't understand how this could happen to two young girls. Dave?
As police continue a very methodical investigation here, going down every road in the search for clues, some folks who live near the crime scene, they fear that their road will never be the same. The crime scene Thursday, a place property owner Ron Logan knows well, but never thought he would know for something so tragic.
I can't really wrap my emotions around it yet. It's so mind-boggling. I haven't really caught up. It hasn't caught up with me yet.
Up and down the hills, across that bank now circled with crime tape, his son grew up playing here.
Never in your wildest dreams do you think that he comes down here to play, he won't come back home.
He and his friends grieved for the victims, Liberty German and Abigail Williams, both 13.
That's why we come back. He goes, I want to show you what it looks like. You couldn't carry someone up and down these hills, or it's hard to walk by yourself.
We've been able to identify almost everybody else that's been on that trail, and this gentleman has not been identified, and we want to know what he saw, what he might have seen on the trail. Did he see somebody else that maybe some of the others didn't see?
The Sheriff's Department says the trail photos of a man released Wednesday have brought in about 200 tips, and they're checking every one of them, they say. Police want to talk to the man because he was on the trail about the same time as the victims.
I think they feel confident that we're going to get this guy or guys that were involved in this, and I think they're feeling confident that it's going to happen sooner than later.
Back at the crime scene, hoping for answers.
This place is never going to be the same. It'll never be the same, will it? Yeah. I mean, everybody will be. They'll be very vigilant now from here on out when they come down here.
All right, that's David McAnally tonight in Delphi. Now here's another look at the man police are so desperate to talk to. Again, they have not said he's a suspect or a person of interest. Instead, investigators believe that he is the only person they haven't identified who was in the area at that time.
John and Andrea, people here in Delphi are cautious tonight about saying too much of anything. Many of them knew these two young girls and they know their families, and they are just finding it still very difficult to talk about what happened. On the outskirts of town, though, where police found the two teens' bodies, people are talking, sharing their disbelief and anger. Against the beauty of the sunshine and bright blue skies Wednesday, it was still hard for Ron Logan to believe the violence visited upon two young teens just out for a hike on a day off from school.
Who would have thought they'd let their children out to do something special that day, take a trip down, and it turn out a disaster like this?
For 53 years, Logan's lived on the country road near the trail that leads to the Monon High Bridge.
People walk up and down it with their children, and yeah, it's quite a nice little trail, and the bridge is real.
Never, though, has Logan seen anything like what he has this week, the search for an eventual discovery of the bodies of Libby German and Abby Williams.
The area that they were in is very hard to get to. I mean, you can't get there unless you walk there. I mean, so somebody would be walking with them or something.
Those are the same kind of thoughts Marvin Sandifer keeps mulling over. His daughter used to hike the same trail.
She said, I've seen a couple scruffy-looking guys back in there, but, you know, they never bothered me. They went on their way.
Sandifer is anxious for investigators to identify a suspect.
I'm not really scared. I'm just worried that it would happen again.
That's why he hopes someone knows or saw something on that trail Monday and can lead investigators down the right path soon.
I hope they catch him tonight, and I hope they make him pay.
And with the release tonight of the picture of that unknown man seen walking on the trail Monday afternoon, people here are hoping investigators are that much closer to discovering who is responsible for taking these two young lives.
13 investigators obtained a search warrant that's a request related to this investigation.
Senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel says the document sheds new light on the murders.
A month after Abby and Libby were murdered, an FBI special agent asked a judge to authorize a search warrant of the massive property where the bodies were found. The property was owned by Ronald Logan, and 13 News was there when officers served Logan a search warrant in March of 2017. The FBI got permission to search the entire property, including Logan's home, garage, his pickup truck, computers, and cell phones. Now we know exactly why the judge granted the warrant. In her request, the FBI agent wrote, "I believe there is probable cause to believe that Ronald Logan has committed the crime of murder, and evidence of that could be found on Ronald Logan's property." The special agent then went on to give plenty of information about why she believed Logan was responsible. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, the warrant request has new information about the crime scene that has not been released before. The FBI agent confirmed one of the victims was missing an article of clothing. There was no visible signs of a struggle or fight. At the crime scene, investigators recovered fibers and unidentified hairs. And the agent wrote, it also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged by whoever committed the murder. Now, as far as the FBI's interest in Logan, first, you might remember this chilling video that was recovered from Libby's cell phone. State police believe it shows the murder suspect telling the girls to go down the hill. State police released those few seconds of video in the hopes that the public might help identify the killer. In her warrant request, the FBI agent confirmed the video clip is actually 43 seconds long. And she said Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the male suspect videotaped by Libby on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Logan's voice is not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. The FBI agent also said Logan asked a relative to create a fake alibi for him for the afternoon the girls were reported missing. She also said cell phone tower data showed Logan's cell phone was in the area where the girls went missing the afternoon they disappeared, and later that night, cell phone tower data showed Logan's phone in proximity to where Libby and Abby's bodies were eventually found. Investigators also interviewed two women who had been in a relationship with Logan, and both reported that he was physically abusive. One told investigators Logan threatened her and said he could kill her and no one would find her body. Now, Ron Logan died in 2020. It's important to note he was never formally named a suspect or charged in the murders. This search warrant was first reported by the Murder Sheet podcast.
Police, early on, they had suspicions about Ronald Logan.
Yeah, Phil and Alexis, this FBI search warrant is only 9 pages long, but it provides surprising new detail on the crime scene in Carroll County and why investigators began to question the possible role of Ronald Logan, who owned the land where the girls were found.
You can see Ronald Logan here on his property in this video shot by Wish TV in 2017, just days after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. By that time, the FBI says Logan had already lied to investigators about what he was doing on the day the girls disappeared.
Monday afternoon, I was in Lafayette Aquarium World getting a tropical fish for my aquarium. So when I came home, one of the neighbors stopped and asked permission to come back here and look for the missing girls, and that's the first time I knew anything about it. So I fooled with my tropical fish the whole time the search was going on Monday night, but then they didn't find them until Tuesday at around noon or 1 or whatever it was.
Investigators believe Logan asked his cousin to lie about driving him to an aquarium store in Lafayette on the afternoon of February 13th. Police arrested Logan for violating his probation on charges of DUI and driving on a suspended license. He appeared in court March 13th on the charge. The next day, March 14th, a state police spokesperson tweeted, "Reports connecting Ronald Logan to the Delphi murders is false. Probation violation, no connection to murder investigation." But a search warrant filed by an FBI agent 3 days later, March 17th, says, "I believe there is probable cause to believe that Ronald Logan has committed the crime of murder, and evidence of that can be found on Ronald Logan's property. And that based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime." Logan pleaded guilty to a new charge of being a habitual traffic violator on April 3rd, 2017. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, a sentence that would eventually be reduced to home detention. The search warrant application reveals never before discussed details about the crime scene and how the girls were found. The agent says a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. The agent also says authorities found that 2 articles of clothing from one of the girls was missing from the crime scene, while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged.
Ronald Logan has never been publicly named a suspect in Abby and Libby's murders. He's also not been charged in the case. Logan died in 2020. He was charged with a probation violation for driving with a suspended license. Now, I sent several detailed questions to Indiana State Police and was told they cannot comment on this case.
He is very aware that this is something that's going to be used again later.
It didn't come out of my gun.
Rick, that round was collected on the 14th of February in 2017.
Okay.
It's been in evidence ever since.
Okay.
You're the last person to have contact with Abby and Libby? Your weapon, your gun out of your weapon is...
I've never contacted Abby and Libby. I've never even met them.
That day? Why? Who said
I didn't.
That's all I want to know is the truth. You're not willing to...
I told you the truth. Do what you need to do.
So he said, all I want to know is the truth, and you see him withdraw his hand. He's basically sitting on his hand. The more that we start feeling cornered, the more we're going to hide our hands. We end up putting them between our legs or behind us if we're saying something that isn't true.
All I want to know is the truth. You're not willing to...
I told you the truth. Do what you need to do.
Okay.
I'm done answering, like, I know you're trying to trick me into saying
No, I'm
that,
not tricking you.
like, I don't care how
hand.
stressed out I get. I'm to something that I had nothing to do with.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not trying to trick you.
I didn't kill him.
Listen, I have a full hand of cards here. I'm not...
Once again, he cut himself off as he starts to deny it. He's done this multiple times throughout. So as he's trying to say a denial, as he's trying to say I didn't do this, he does get it out sometimes, but there are times where he stops trying to say it.
Admit to something that I had nothing to do with.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not trying to trick you.
I didn't kill him.
Listen, I have a full hand of cards here. I'm not laying all my cards on the table.
Okay.
I'm telling you bits and pieces, hoping that you will realize that without a doubt, we have you out there at the time of the merger. It clearly indicates that you're involved in this. Clearly.
It does not.
That's unethical. I can't do it.
It's obviously what you think. What I'm telling you is
it's not what I think. It's what the evidence is telling me.
So as he continues to go on in this interrogation, and this has been going on for a while now, it looks like he's closing his eyes, locking his legs below the seat. He's getting more tense. He's starting to give up more. It seems like at this point he's not finding much reason to argue.
What I'm telling you is
it's not what I think. It's what the evidence is telling me.
See how much more he's closed off now? Closing his eyes, crossing his legs, closing his fingers. At this point, he's just shutting down.
If I just thought, I'm gonna make this story up, but somebody was out there and jacked around out of their gun, I can't make that up without the evidence that indicates it.
Yeah. It's all right, babe.
What?
I killed Abby and Libby.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't, Darren.
Yes, I did.
Don't say
I don't know why.
You're not feeling well. There's something wrong. They've messed up your meds or something there.
No, I evidently did it.
No, you didn't. Why would you say that?
Because maybe I did.
No, you didn't, dear.
I think I did.
No, you didn't. Are you sure you want to talk to me over the phone?
I think I have to.
Okay.
I need you to know that I did this.
What?
Once Richard Allen was arrested on October 26, 2022, he began to make multiple calls to his wife and his mother. During these jail calls, Richard made several confessions implicating himself in the unaliving of Abby and Libby. You can clearly hear his wife and mother reply back with disbelief. What are your thoughts? Does Richard Allen sound in distress? Do you think he was in his right mind, or do you think he was experiencing a mental breakdown and he's not sure what he's saying? Let me know, and leave your thoughts in the comments.
A judge has sentenced the Indiana man convicted of murdering 2 teenagers to the maximum 130 years in prison. Richard Allen killed 8th graders Abby Williams and Libby German near a bridge on a hiking trail in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. Last month, a jury found Allen guilty on felony murder and murder charges. Family members, including the girls' grandmothers, read impact statements before Allen learned his fate yesterday.
Every clip you watch today is more than just a story. It's a chilling reminder that real life can be darker than fiction. If these crimes shook you, disturbed you, or left you with questions, don't stay silent. Hit that subscribe button to join a community that refuses to forget. Like this video to keep these stories alive. Share it to spread awareness, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Who do you think was really behind it, or what part shocked you most?